السنة مثل سفينة نوح، من ركبها نجا ومن تركها غرق.
السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. الحمد لله الذي أرسل رسوله بالهدى ودين الحق ليظهره على الدين كله، وكفى بالله شهيدا، وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له، وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله صلى الله عليه وعلى آله وأصحابه أجمعين. أما بعد. As to what proceeds, after praising Allah the Most High, separated from His creation in a manner which befits His Majesty, praising Him with love and veneration exclusively for Him, and asking Allah to send His salatu wassalam upon the final messenger, Muhammad ibn Abdullah al-Qurashi. With Allah's mercy, we were able to finish and complete the preface or the madkhal before starting the book Al-Usul ath-Thalathah. I believe we completed the preface in about 20 lessons or 20 meetings. Is that correct? About 20 meetings. Today, with the permission of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, we shall discuss the biography or the seerah of Shaykh al-Islam Muhammad ibn Abd al-Wahhab rahimahullah ta'ala. So as we know that Shaykh al-Islam Muhammad ibn Abd al-Wahhab, he made a dua, he said, وَجَعَلَكَ مُبَارَكًا أَيْنَمَا كُنْتَ. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make you blessed, bless you wherever you may be. So the first question is, من هو مؤلف هذا الكتاب? Who is the author of this book, Al-Usul ath-Thalathah? The answer is, he is Shaykh Muhammad ibn Abd al-Wahhab ibn Sulaiman ibn Ali ibn Muhammad ibn Ahmad ibn Rashid al-Tamimi al-Najdi. That is the answer. He is Shaykh Muhammad ibn Abd al-Wahhab bin Sulaiman bin Ali bin Muhammad bin Ahmad bin Rashid al-Tamimi al-Najdi. Did everybody get that? That is his lineage briefly. He's from the tribe Banu Tamim, and he's a Najdi, he was from the province of Najd. Ahl-Sunnah wal Jama'ah unanimously agree that he was the mujaddid of ad-da'wat al-Islamiyya. He was the reviver of the Islamic da'wah, and that he was the Shaykh al-Islam of his time. And he is somebody who revived the Sunnah and eliminated al-bid'ah, heresies. He was like an unleashing sword upon the heretics and the enemies of Islam. So this is who was the author of this book, Muhammad, Shaykh al-Islam Muhammad ibn Abd. Next question is that where was he born? Shaykh al-Islam Muhammad ibn Abd rahimahullah ta'ala was born in Uyayna, which is in the northwest of Riyadh, in the province of Najd. So Riyadh, everybody knows Riyadh is the capital city. In the northwest of Riyadh is a province known as Najd. That's where he was from, Al-Uyayna. The third question is, when was he born? Shaykh al-Islam Muhammad ibn Abd rahimahullah ta'ala was born in the year 1115 after Hijrah, corresponding to 1703-04 according to the Gregorian calendar. Is that clear? واضح. 1703 or 1704 according to the Gregorian calendar. Now, 1703, 1704. The next question is 1115 after Hijrah. Somebody keeps asking about the dates. Islamic date is 1115. 1115. Corresponding to 1703 or 1704 in the Gregorian calendar. Are the dates clear now? The next question is, how was his upbringing? He was brought up by his father, al-Wahhab, Shaykh al-Wahhab, rahimahullah ta'ala. And at a young age, you could see the landmarks or the signs of intelligence, excellence within him. He memorized the Quran before he was 10 years old. And he was a full-grown man. He was like a full-grown man. Or he reached the age of puberty at the age of 12. Does anybody know how old was Shaykh al-Islam Muhammad ibn Abd rahimahullah ta'ala when he got married? He was 12 years old. After he became matured, his father says, رَأَيْتُهُ أَهْلًا لِلصَّلَاةِ بِالْجَمَاعَةِ وَزَوَّجْتُهُ فِي ذَلِكَ الْعَامِ. His father says that when I saw that he had matured, and once he became matured, he started praying all his prayers in the masjid, in congregation. Father says, as soon as I saw that, I decided that now is the time for him to get married. Our children at the age of 11 and 12 are too busy playing PlayStation and all these games that you have. This is our hal and condition. It's going back how many? 300 years? He got married at the age of 12. There was a teacher that used to teach us at the Islamic University of Madhab. And he told us a story once. He told us that his dad got him married when he was about 13. Because I didn't understand at that time really what marriage was. I knew that you get married and then the person. And this Shaykh, he has 4 wives, by the way. This was his first wife, he said. Don't know if he's still alive. Shaykh Mujahid was his name. He used to teach in Mahad al-Arabiya. He's known till this day. If you ask anybody who's old school in the Mahad al-Lugha, in the Arabic Language Institute of Medina University, they will tell you who Shaykh Mujahid was. He told us this story in class. He said, I got married. He got me married, and now I knew I was married. So he got married to a girl who was also, I think, similar to his age. And he said, after I got married, this girl is following me everywhere. So I'm asking her, why are you following me? I'm going into the kitchen to eat, and she's following me there. I'm going to sit there, and she's following me there. Because I had no idea. What marriage was this wife. She's washing my clothes. I'm telling her, no, I'll wash my clothes myself. You don't need to wash them for me. He told us that it was a normal thing in those days, that as soon as the signs of maturity were shown on a boy or on a girl, they would get them married. This is still practiced in Yemen, I believe so. If there's any people who are from Yemen, they will tell you that till this day, in Yemen, as soon as a girl reaches the age of 13, my mother was married when she was 14 years old. My father married my mother when my mother was only 14. My mother had me when I was 16 years old, she told me. But she was, as soon as she reached the age, my grandfather decided that she needed to get married. So this is the normal thing that would happen in those days, although it's known that Shaykh Mujahid didn't understand what his wife was until he went and he sat with the elders, and the elders told him what is a wife and this and that. So Shaykh al-Islam got married at the age of 12. The next question is that where did the Shaykh al-Islam Muhammad ibn Abd, rahimahullah, where did he seek knowledge? So the Shaykh, he started to seek knowledge with his father. So his father was his first teacher. And this is how we find in the biographies of all the scholars that they start seeking knowledge locally. So the local ulama that can be found, and the people of knowledge, they start seeking knowledge. So he studied the Hanbali Madhab, which was a Madhab that was studied in his area, Tafsir and Hadith. He had a great passion, and he was very highly inclined and dedicated to reading the books of Tafsir, Hadith and Aqidah. And the books which he clinged onto were the books of Shaykh al-Islam ibn Taymiyyah and his student Ibn al-Qayyim. So after he got married, he decided to go to Makkah. to fulfill the obligation of making Hajj. And then from Mecca he traveled to Medina. And in Medina he stayed there for 2 months. And he started to seek knowledge from the scholars of Medina. Then he returned back to Uyayna, his village. And then he busied himself studying and reading the books of Imam Ahmad ibn Abd rahimahullah. Then once again, he decided to take the path of seeking knowledge and travel. And he went and he studied knowledge from the major scholars of his time in different places. So then he went to Basra, which is known as Basra in Iraq. He went to Hijaz, Mecca and Medina many times. Also in Najd, he traveled into different areas there. He went to Ahsa, another place in Saudi Arabia, and went to seek knowledge. So this shows that رحلة طلب العلم, leaving your comfort zone and taking the path of seeking knowledge is a common trait and characteristic of the great scholars of Islam. Started during the time of the Prophet ﷺ and is continuously going on till this day. So if there is a person that you know of, and that is teaching or discussing issues about the religion and did not travel to seek knowledge and sit at the feet of the scholars, don't take knowledge from such a person. And I don't mean by seeking knowledge and sitting with the scholars for Umrah trips, and this 4 or 5 day Umrah trips that we have. That's not seeking knowledge. That's not traveling to seek knowledge. I'm talking about somebody who leaves his home with the sole purpose of seeking knowledge. And you see from the life of Shaykh Muhammad ibn Abd rahimahullah ta'ala that knowledge precedes da'wah. Not da'wah comes first and then knowledge, like you see in the West. Look at his first part of his life, his early part of his life. His childhood was all about seeking knowledge. And this is the importance for you to know that every single biography that you will read, you will see very few scholars, due to certain circumstances and exceptions and valid exceptions, they did not travel to seek knowledge. And one of the reasons was that all the scholars were present where they lived. So there was no need for them to travel. Like Imam Malik. Imam Malik did not need to go and travel because all the great scholars were all in Medina. So he was an exception. But the norm is to go and travel and seek knowledge. The next question is that what was the Madhab of Shaykh al-Islam Muhammad ibn Abd rahimahullah? Naam. You may leave. In Aqidah, Naam. even in today's age, you need to travel to seek knowledge. There are great scholars all over the world. There are scholars in Africa. There are scholars in the subcontinent. There are scholars in the Muslim lands, in Saudi Arabia, in other parts of the other Muslim countries. There's scholars everywhere. There's even scholars in Ethiopia. Mauritania. There's scholars everywhere. Just because they're not on social media and they don't get thousands of likes and hits, that doesn't mean they're not scholars. Because this is what the assumption or the criteria of being a scholar is, that if he's not in the West, he's a scholar, otherwise he's not a scholar. I don't know him. I don't know if he's a scholar. Because the West has not accepted him. It's not the criteria for a scholar to be known. The people of knowledge know the people of knowledge. The people of fadl know the people of fadl. In fiqh, he was upon the madhab of Imam Ahmad ibn Hanbali, but he was not a fanatic or a blind follower of the madhab. He made it clear on many different occasions. For example, in the inheritance of the grandmother, that he abandoned the Hanbali madhab on so many issues and went with the dalil. And he says, he himself in his different treatises has mentioned this over and over again. I don't have a problem among us against the Kitab and the Sunnah and the Ijma' of the Salaf of this Ummah. He wasn't a fanatic Hanbali. We have some fanatics today, or a fanatic Shafi'i or a fanatic Hanafi. So this was with regards to him, that he was a person who said, if I acknowledge the status of Imam al-Dhahabi and the likes, but if I find that the dalil is against what al-Dhahabi says, then all due respect to him, I will follow the dalil and abandon what he says. A fanatic does not speak like this. The next question is some of his famous teachers. Some of his famous teachers include his father, Shaykh al-Wahhab. From his teachers also include the Indian Shaykh, the Musnid of Medina. Shaykh al-Islam came to Medina several times and studied with him. Shaykh al-Allama Muhammad Hayat al-Sindhi al-Madani. So Shaykh al-Islam took hadith and learned hadith from Muhammad Hayat al-Sindhi. Are you listening? So all his knowledge of hadith was taken from an Indian Shaykh. Naam, al-Madani. He also studied with Shaykh Ismail al-Ajluni. And also Shaykh Ali Afandi al-Daghistani. A famous incident happened that has been mentioned in the biography of Shaykh al-Islam Muhammad ibn Abd rahimahullah ta'ala. Ibn Bishr has mentioned this in Unwan al-Majd. So there's a book on the history of Najd called Unwan al-Majd by Ibn Bishr, if you want to know about the history of Najd. then have this book, Unwanul Majd, is a very important book, especially now when you have the ignorant ones yapping away on social media. If time permitted, then I would show you my collection of Muhammad ibn Abd al-Wahhab. I have collected all the books that have been written against him and in defense of him for years, traveling from one side of the world to the other just to obtain all the important books and important documents. Unwanul Majd. نعم. مجد في تاريخ النجد by Ibn Bishr. Somebody said that, can you just show me some of the books? I'll show you some that are just here that I was looking up today, as somebody has requested. We got this in the English language. An amazing book this is. This is called, it's been translated in the English language. It's called Muhammad bin Abd al-Wahhab, a slandered reformer. This was written by Masood al-Nadwi. It's probably a very, very old 80s. This book is 80s, no longer available. I had, when I came from India, I bought 3 copies of this book and I gave them to 2 of them to 2 of my close students. And this is the 3rd copy which is in my library. This tells you of the slandering that the people... This is an Indian sheikh that wrote this. The book was written in Urdu and then translated into Arabic and revised by Shaykh Taqiyuddin al-Hilali. So we get this, it was written in Urdu, translated into English by Jami al-Salafiyya, Banaras in India, by Muhammad Rafiq Khan. He's passed away now. It's printed in 1983. Maybe many of you were not even born when this was printed. This was written by my supervisor. It basically talks about the wasf al-da'wat al-Islahiyya lil-Imam Muhammad ibn Abd al-Wahhab. Some of the characteristics of the da'wah of Shaykh al-Islam Muhammad ibn Abd and some of the lies that the people are spreading. These lies are now being spread by the likes of Yasir Qadi and co. They've all been answered. Was reviewed by Shaykh Taqiyuddin al-Hilali. This book was written in Urdu, then later translated into Arabic and reviewed by Shaykh Taqiyuddin al-Hilali. This book, if you're able to get it, is in Arabic and it's in English as well. It's Muhammad ibn Abd al-Wahhab, the man and his works. This is a bibliography of all the works that have been written. This is by Abdullah Salih al-Uthaymin, not Shaykh ibn Uthaymin. Abdullah Salih al-Uthaymin. He was one of the great historians of Saudi Arabia. This is available in the English language, by the way. I've got the Arabic and the English. This is a very important book. I'll read to you what Dr. Natana DeLong Bass from Brandeis University says. Al-Uthaymin does an excellent job of sorting through the complexities of the primary source materials, all of which exist only in Arabic, for the historical context. His work formed the foundation from which other scholarship was able to grow. His coverage of the history of Najd, particularly, is a unique contribution. Another important contribution lies in the presentation of both pro- and anti-Saudi literature, which is hard to find elsewhere. This work represents an important moment in the development of the presentation of Wahhabi thought and history to a Western audience. Yes. Now, is this available on Amazon? Somebody said. If it has, then if it's not too expensive, then buy it. And then you'll see all the garbage and all the nonsense that some of these ignorant fools and pretenders are talking about. Well, this was printed by I.B. Torres. So we were talking about, so these are some of the books. This is with regards to the Barelvi conspiracy that is always spread. There is the confession of a British spy called Humphrey. And they said that this British spy was spying with Muhammad ibn Abd, and Muhammad ibn Abd used to be drunk half of the time and all this. This is a refutation on that dossier, which is a lie and a fabrication proving of who really the British spy was. The Humphrey. This is about Humphrey. This is the kingdom of Saudi Arabia in 100 years. Studies and researches. These are just a few. This is again in the English language. These are just some of the few books which I'm showing you. This book is very important. This is in 2 volumes. This is a PhD thesis. It's called عقيدة الشيخ محمد ibn Abd al-Wahhab al-Salafiyya وأثرها في العالم الإسلامي. This is a 2-volume PhD thesis which was written by the director and the principal of Medina University, Shaykh Salih al-Abd. One of the best theses that has been written, praised by Shaykh Abdul Aziz bin Baz, in 2 volumes. This is probably one of the most important books that you read in your life. It's been translated into the Urdu language, also in 2 volumes by Shaykh Safiur Rahman al-Mubarak. So these are some of the books that I have here, which I've been collecting for many years and on my research. There is a PhD thesis that has been written by an American woman. Can you believe it? I have the PhD thesis in defense of Shaykh al-Islam Muhammad al-Wahhab rahimahullah ta'ala, and destroys all the doubts which Yasir al-Qadhi, the misguided individual, and the others are now bringing about Muhammad al-Wahhab, and she's not even a Muslim. Amazing thesis that she has written. That is available if you are interested in it. I have a copy of that thesis. Yeah, alhamdulillah. But it's an amazing thesis. She goes through all the arguments. And she's answered a lot of the allegations and slanders that have been mentioned about Shaykh al-Islam Muhammad al-Wahhab, especially on the issue of him declaring the whole Muslim Ummah to be disbelievers. She's dealt with that issue very nicely. She actually came to Saudi Arabia for her research. She was allowed to come to Saudi Arabia, and she visited Shaykh al-Islam's, I believe, his village where he grew up, Al-Uyayna. She was there, and she was in Dar'iyah. She visited such places, from what I've heard, from other sources. She was actually here. A lot of research needs to be done, and inshallah, if you train some of your students up through my supervision, I will provide you with some sources, and I will tell you to analyze and critique some of the lies that have been done academically. Not name calling and mocking and making noises and all this that's going on at the moment. Muhammad ibn Abd rahimahullah ta'ala was a man that needs to be studied. Like I said, that his influence comes from the Indian Shaykh, the one who inspired him and told him and encouraged him to continue with his mission was the Indian Shaykh Muhammad Hassan. Alhamdulillah, just recently, through another Shaykh from Pakistan, we found the documents of when Muhammad Hayat as-Sindhi wrote to Muhammad ibn Abd al-Wahhab, and Muhammad ibn Abd al-Wahhab was asking him questions on da'wah, of how da'wah should be given on these issues. And Imam Muhammad Hayat as-Sindhi was correcting Muhammad ibn Abd al-Wahhab and saying to him, look, in this situation, this is how you should react. Those documents, alhamdulillah, have been found. Just after my arrival back in Medina, speaking to one of the sheikhs, and he said, alhamdulillah, he has located those documents. Now, the correspondence between Muhammad ibn Wahhab and Muhammad Hayat Sindhi when it came to da'wah issues. And this brings us to the incident. So Ibn Bishr in Unwan al-Majd, he mentions a story. Ibn Bishr says that one day, Shaykh al-Islam Muhammad ibn Abd al-Wahhab and his teacher, Al-Imam Muhammad Hayat as-Sindhi, an incident happened between the both of them. Shaykh al-Islam Muhammad ibn Abd al-Wahhab ta'ala was at the Prophet's grave. And whilst he was standing at the Prophet's grave, whilst he was studying with the Shaykh, he saw people calling upon the Prophet, asking directly from the Prophet, seeking aid and help and assistance with the Prophet ﷺ. So Shaykh al-Islam is seeing the people falling into grave worshipping, and his teacher comes. And he stops his teacher and he says, Shaykh, what do you say about these people, what they are doing here? So Al-Imam Muhammad Hayat as-Sindhi rahimahullah looks at his student and says to him, in response, he recites an ayah. He says, Inna ha'ulai mutabbarum ma hum fihi wa batilu ma kanu ya'malun. Inna ha'ulai mutabbarum ma hum fihi wa batilu ma kanu ya'malun. Surah Al-A'raf, ayah number 139. Translation is, what they follow certainly is doomed to destruction, and their deeds are in vain. This is what Shaykh said to him. This is the answer. I can derive 3 benefits that come to my mind now with regards to this incident. The first benefit is that before passing a judgment on them or on anybody or any judgment, the student always refers back to his teacher. What's the first thing, the benefit that you can take from this? The student does not precede his teacher in passing a judgment, especially when it comes to the people. Second benefit, the importance of al-mulazamatu shadida. When you seek knowledge with your teacher, not only do you just seek knowledge with him, but you are always with him. You try to be with him whenever you can. As soon as you see your teacher, you go to him. Just like Shaykh al-Islam, when he saw his teacher, went straight to him. Try to be with him as much as you can. Follow him. Sit with him. That's the second benefit. And the third benefit is that whenever you are asked a question, then always start by answering, or always start your discussion of any form of relevancy with an ayah of the Quran. Muhammad Hayat as-Sindhi did not have to give any explanation. He gave one ayah and that was it. This is the third. As you know that Muhammad Hayat as-Sindhi was the Imam of the Ahlul Hadith of Medina. Muhammad al-Wahhab is one of his students. So he didn't say, and they are this, and they are this guy, misguy. He just said one ayah. He says one ayah describing their condition. 3 benefits. came to the top of my mind at this moment in time with regards to al-Wahhab, rahimahullah. We'll stop here, bi'idhnillah. And then when we have the feedback session, that will train you, inshallah, bi'idhnillah, how to be a competent student and how to write. And then, inshallah, bi'idhnillah, one day, one of you will write an article or something in defense of Muhammad ibn Abd, defending the truth, if the truth is with him. Now, and we'll stop here. And may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala grant you all success. And we'll meet again tomorrow to finish off the biography of, if Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wills. وصلى الله على نبينا محمد وعلى آله وأصحابه أجمعين. Inshallah, we'll meet again tomorrow. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.